And away we go. Oh, yes, and away we go indeed. Listen, twice the price of admission tonight. You got 2 Monday Night Football games. There is so much to get to. Got a very special birthday. Got some people watching from around the country that I'm going to give some shout-outs to. Having absolutely, listen, I pride myself on being a noble handicapper. I have my own website, dtmsquatchpicks.club. We talked about it before. I've had great wins my entire life, but it's rare when you have certain types of wins, days that you'll never forget. Much the opposite of when I was a 12-year-old playing ping pong with my friend Joey Berger before Warner Middle School class back in 1990. And I think I immediately, within 3 games, was down $300. We kept going double or nothing. And I'm like a really good ping pong player. But for some reason that day, I just couldn't get it done. And I just kept going double or nothing, double or nothing. And before class started at 8 a.m., I was down $400. But it's the opposite of that. And I'll get into that in a minute. Some crazy stuff happening in the NFL. We got 2 Monday Night Football games to preview. We got 2 Squatch same-game Monday Night Football parlays to give you. And we've got my friend Sean from 586 Sports, that we believe the king of Bull Rush, Trent Air, the CEO, thinks that I've met before. Even if I haven't, I already love the guy. I just chatted with him for a minute earlier today. Can already tell he's great. So he's going to join us in a little while. And there also is going to be a special guest appearance by producer extraordinaire. This guy was ranked number 3 in the Midwest in chess for most of his youth. He also was a big Iditarod guy, dog sledding in Alaska. My great producer, David Shire, is going to join the show for the first time, I believe, in like 6 weeks. It's the preseason. So very excited to bring him in later on. But I want to start with this because those of you that have watched this show in the past have started to learn this about me. And those that are tuning in for the first time, thank you, wherever you've been. But we're grateful that you're here. And as I say at the beginning of every show, the show is super interactive. Leave whatever comments you want. I'll try to get to as many as I can and answer any questions you have. If you have a question for Sean when he's on, please leave that in the comments as well. But you'll learn, and you have learned, that I obviously love life, but I'm very grateful for the friends and family that I have. And today, he might be 79 in age, but he's 79 years young. He's more like a spry 30-year-old. But it's my father, Doc Harold Leach's 79th birthday. He was born in 1947. And if we can, David Shire, let's throw up a picture of the Doc and one of our favorite cathedrals, the Big House in Ann Arbor. I think I gave you 2 pictures, didn't I? Yeah, you can show them both. That's from this year. That's from like 3 weeks ago, the New Mexico game. And those are the same seats that we have had going back to when my grandfather first got them in the 40s. Over 70 years. I think my dad wasn't born when my grandpa initially had these Michigan seats in Section 3, row 58. We were allowed to move like years ago wherever we wanted to. And my grandma said, no, thanks. I'll stay where we're at. We got the aisle. So I've been sitting in the same seats. My grandpa before me, all of his friends, my grandma, my uncles. Unfortunately, all my dad's brothers have passed away. He's the last man standing, as he says. But that's where we sit. I saw the first ever night game there against Notre Dame, that crazy comeback, with Denard Robinson and Roundtree. I've seen, obviously, the big Ohio State wins. I've seen, epic, walk-off wins, just incredible stuff. So happy birthday to my dad. He's my hero. I know he's watching. He's going to dinner soon at the West End Grill, very fancy pants. And one of my best friends in life, Brad Schneider, Amos, saying happy birthday, Dr. Squatch, Papa Squatch, as he's lovingly known. So great to see Brad. I think that Applejack's our good friend is watching too from NYC. Brad, David is, I was in New York a couple weeks ago. Brad, in his palatial palace, very kind to let me stay with him. And we went to Oasis with our Anybody Fancy Some Lasagna shirts that Brad, it was his idea, and we got them made. Went to the U.S. Open. He took me to every food place he took me to, whether it was Chinese, dim sum, pizza, oysters in the Mermaid Oyster Bar, which I guess happy hour all night on Mondays. They're going right now. Was just the best. So thanks to him. And I was a huge, friend and love of his father, the late, great Al Schneider. So rest in peace to him. Brad's the best. But yeah, very happy birthday to my father. 79 years young, and every day is a blessing. I have a lot of friends of mine, unfortunately, Brad being one of them, my other best friend, Brad Spoods Monash, that have lost their fathers earlier in life. And people will reach out to me on my social media when I post pictures of my dad, because we do a lot of things together, games and dinners and whatever, and say how lucky I am. But I take that seriously, because it's like when I do the show, there's people watching the show right now that, might not have a parent. I want them to live through me, because I want to, be that conduit for them, because not everyone is able to do that later in life. So I'm very grateful to have my dad. Happy birthday to him. He's always very proud of me and means the world to me as well. All right. So listen, we'll start off with this. And I got a lot of recaps that I want to get to about what we saw in week 2, including that terrible Joe Burrow injury, if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan. But as I said, and I give out picks on this show, I didn't give out these picks, unfortunately. I did give them out to my DTM SquatchPicks.club friends. But I will tell you this. You have those days where sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I think I'm a pretty good handicapper. I mean, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I've been very successful, whether it's golf, football, tennis that I've given out in the past. But I think I'm pretty good at football, but it's still, you need some luck. You need some luck to hit these kind of things. I'm going to have Davin put out these 2 parlays that I hit yesterday that to me are insane, because it was just total, some of it's luck. But I got a story. Here's the first one. What I like to do, and I told you on this show that it's a lot about teaching people that are newer to wagering. And obviously we'll talk about the Bull Rush Survivor contest in a second here. But I always want to educate people, because listen, I still can learn things every day, but I've been doing gambling stuff forever. And what this is called, that you see in front of you, is a round robin. So let's say you like 7 or 8 guys. I mean, that's probably too many, but I normally do 3 or 4 to score touchdowns or hit home runs or whatever that kind of longer shot prop is. If you don't want to risk getting 3 or let's say you do 4 and you get 3 of them, or 5 and you get 4 of them, and you don't want to risk losing everything and not winning a cent, you do a round robin. It really works well for plus money stuff. Like if you do it with favorites, you're gonna have to lay a lot of money. It's not worth it. But for this situation, a round robin, it's a 4, 3s and 4s round robin. So I did 4 picks, and you got to hit 3 of them to make some money. If you hit all 4 of them, you win a ton of money. It was, 21 or whatever? It was 24 to win 2,000. So I don't see the odds right there, Davin. I think it was, whatever that is. I can't add right now. Like, 100 to 1, whatever it is. So this is the ticket that was supposed to be. I did it at 2 different places. This was the ticket that was supposed to be copied. So obviously this hit. And by the way, Adunze hit, I think it was the first touchdown of the day. Then Butte scored. Then Turpin scored. So you see right there, you keep it up there for a second. There's Juwan Johnson. That's who it was supposed to be on both tickets. This is the round robin that obviously if I hit 3 or 4, I still win money. I still win decent money. But if I hit all 4, I've got to do a regular same game, 4-leg parlay. So throw up the other one, Davin. You can see that it's the same 3 guys and Juwan Jennings. I wasn't feeling well yesterday. I had some procedures last week. I'm doing great. Colonoscopy, clean bill of health. I honor my friend Jamie Samuelson. Talked about it on the show last week. But I just was kind of under the weather. And I was making these bets when I was, kind of prepping in the morning, Sunday morning. I was in bed. I was kind of focusing on some stuff, but whatever. So when I went to make this bet, I put Juwan Jennings in instead of Juwan Johnson. So, of course, when I think I had been laid down and I was watching the Lions game, which I normally am covering, so it's tough not to be there. Lions, we'll get to in a minute. 52 spot on Ben Johnson, Ben who? And I went to go check. I'm like, I can't believe it, because I logged into my one account. I'm not going to say the name, doesn't matter what sports book is, but I logged in and it was already $2,100. I'm like, what? I didn't even realize I knew that Odunze had scored, but Turpin and Butte scored within minutes of each other. Or is it Boot? I'm sorry, not Butte. I'll just call him Butte because it sounds better. Butte. So I logged in. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Because Juwan Johnson had just scored a touchdown to clinch that first bet that I just showed you. I logged into my other account and I'm like, why hasn't it paid me yet? And I realized I put Jawan Jennings, two different players. Jawan Johnson is the tight end for the Saints. Jawan Jennings is the wide receiver for the Niners. So guess what? I was going to have a heart attack. I'm like, well, I can't get mad. I'd already won a ton of money, 100,000 to 1 of my money, or 100 to 1, whatever. But this one was way bigger. It was 22 to 7,000. So I'm like, if I don't hit this, I'm going to be so dejected, even though I should be happy. So I was listening. I have, the radio call of all the different games on Sirius, and I was listening to the Saints and Niners, and literally toward middle, like early fourth quarter. Why am I forgetting their quarterback right now? I'm losing my mind. He went back to throw. I'm sorry, Purdy. He went back to throw, or not Purdy, Mac Jones, because Purdy was hurt. He went back to throw a pass, and the Niners longtime announcer said, and he's wide open, and it's a touchdown. And he did say the name, like, please say Jennings, please say. And he said, Jawan Jennings. And I literally almost fell out of my car. So, it doesn't happen often. That's why I'm not trying to, boast or anything. But these are things that I want to share with people because I give out these kind of plays on this show. It was quite an insane day. I spent, what did I bet, $44 and almost won $10,000. But these are the kind of things you could do. You don't have to bet a lot of money. You can win a lot of money. So had a lot of fun with that. But David, as David Shire, my great producer, knows, it didn't stop with football. And I will give out, we're going to get into the Survivor in a second before we get to the recaps. How about the fact that me, Dan Leach, the Squatch, and this I am bragging, even could pick Emmy upsets. Throw up my Brit bet. Brit Lower from Severance was a 10 to 1 underdog, $60 to win 556. You got to love that. So I cashed on that. By the way, if you don't know this, you could, I won't say the name of it, but one of the betting apps, you could bet like Emmys and Oscars and stuff, but the other ones you can't. But Kalshi and some of these other prediction sites have these things. So I did it there. But then how about The Pit, which I think is the best show of the year, one of the greatest shows ever, was a big underdog, not a big underdog, but 2 to 1 or almost 2 to 1 to Severance. Everyone thought Severance would win. Severance already had a first season. The Pit, that was their first season. They already won Best Supporting Actress in an upset as well, Lahari. And I loved The Pit to win. I should have bet a little more than that, but you can't go crazy with Emmy's bets. But yeah, so the day just continued, crushing same anytime touchdown parlays and crushing Emmy's bets. So you got to love it. Welcome into Tiffany STLMT. The LMT stand for lemon meringue tart. That's what I think it does. Welcome in. Like I said, please leave whatever comments you want. We're going to be joined by my man Sean from 58 Sports in just a little bit. But let's get into the week that was. And the big news, aside from the wins and losses, was my man Joe Burrow with that toe injury, probably out for 3 months. And, I'm a big fan. Well, I'm a Lions fan, but I'm a big fan of the Bengals. I really have always liked them. Going back to the Boomer Esiason days, I remember when they almost beat the Niners in Super Bowl 20 here in the Silverdome. I'm sorry, 20 was the one out west, but they played in I'm forgetting the number. It was 1982. They played in the Super Bowl here in Detroit. And, they in both games they played against the Niners in the Super Bowls, they were really close. So I've always liked the Bengals. And I truly believe, even though they got off to slow starts the last couple of years, they're obviously 2-0 this year. You got to give, if you're a Bengals fan, you got to love, not having to worry about your backup at Jake Browning, who's had success in the past when he's filled in, for Burrow. But he comes in and wins the game, a game they probably, in many other scenarios and in years past, would have lost. Some crazy offsides penalty, by the way, on 1st and goal on the Bengals. Offsides on the offense. You see that called like twice here. I thought for sure that's going to screw the game up. But you feel for them because I really believe they have a great chance at winning the Super Bowl this year. I mean, my picks are obviously the Bills and the Commanders. That's the same exact matchup I've given out on the show. Obviously, I like the Ravens as well. I hope my Lions can get there. The Eagles are obviously showing who they are. We'll get to that game against the Chiefs in a minute. But I'll tell you, the Bengals have so many weapons. They've got a good defense. I love, the way that that it seems like there's a lot of times later in the season the Bengals might be out of games, but they find a way to get the job done. And I think that a lot of that, goes back to their coaching. When you look at what Zach Taylor's been able to do since he's gotten there a few years back, I feel for them. I mean, losing Joe Burrow is like losing Mahomes. It's like losing Jared Goff for the Lions, losing, Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. He is that big of a difference maker. But maybe there's a chance that he could come back later in the season, be brought and keep their head above water. He was good at Washington. He's a quarterback that obviously knows how to win. By the way, Ricky Talks is weighing in. Dan is the best. Very kind of you. And Sonny's view. Let's go Vikings. Not last night, Sonny's view. I had the Vikings. I think I gave them out on this show. I don't know what the heck happened after J.J. McCarthy looked so good the week before and so bad. That offense was awful against a Falcons team that couldn't really score that much either. But Penix Jr. looked a lot better than J.J., but obviously Penix Jr. has been in the league for a couple years. But I feel for the Bengals. Maybe they can find a way to keep their head above water, get in the playoffs, and Burrow comes back. But without Burrow for the majority of the season, it's going to be very tough for them to compete and contend with teams like the Ravens, with teams like the Bills. I mean, there's a lot of the Chargers, who I am huge on. They're one of my Super Bowl picks. It's going to be very tough for them. So you feel for Joe Burrow and the Bengals fans. Also, how about my Detroit Lions? When I prepped the show, I said the Lions are back. Well, they never really went anywhere. But they put Ben Johnson. You should have seen all my good friend Jeff Rieger, who works for the sports station here, a long time colleague of mine. I worked for that station for about 10 years, the Lions flagship, 97 The Ticket. He actually asked Ben Johnson in the post-game presser, did he think that Dan Campbell was running the score up on him? And was he embarrassed that, what the Lions were able to do to him in his return to Ford Field? And Ben Johnson got pretty mad. My friend Rieger's known for kind of asking, I don't want to say annoying questions. They're great questions, but questions that annoy managers and coaches. He was once thrown out of Jim Leland's office when Leland was the Tigers manager. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that Rieger, he just doesn't care. He's unafraid and unbothered by asking tough questions. So I have a lot of respect for that. But Ben Johnson has been talked about as this wonder kid. He was a great coordinator, but take it from me here in Detroit, Marty Mornhinweg, Ron Marinelli, Matt Patricia, Jim Schwartz. And Schwartz had some success. Took the Lions from 0-16 the year before he got into playoffs in a few years. But sometimes guys, those are just Lions examples, are way better coordinators than they are head coaches. Now listen, it's Ben Johnson's second game in Chicago. I like Caleb Williams. I think they got good talent on both sides of the ball. They're going to be fine. But they should not give up 52, a 52 spot to the Lions in a big game for the Bears, because they blew their chance at beating the Vikings the week before on Monday Night Football. So that was a great win for the Lions. 5 touchdown passes from Jared Goff. If you're an Amon-Ra St. Brown fantasy owner, you're going crazy right now. I think his 3 touchdown prop line was like 60-1, so maybe you took that. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Lions offense, Gibbs, Jameson Williams, even Isaac Tesla, obviously Sam Laporta. Lions are going to be one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the NFL, or NFC at least, and then NFL maybe the top 5 most of the year. They're really, really good. The defense gets a little better with some of the injuries they've had, and Terry Arnold being hurt. They're going to be really, really tough to beat. I do believe the Lions are going to lose coming up this following week on Monday Night Football. I do think the Lions might be worth buying up to 7.5. We'll get to that later in my game previews. But yeah, the Lions are definitely looking a lot different this week at 1-1. And Campbell didn't kind of guarantee a win, which hasn't always gone well in Detroit. But she did work for Sheed, and it did not work for Lomas Brown. But Lions are 1-1, looking good. Bears obviously having trouble in the division. Vikings 1-1, and of course the Packers looking like one of the best teams in the NFL. And how about the Giants and the Cowboys? An absolute classic. I mean, if you're a Giants fan, how can you lose that game? I think the Cowboys are probably a little better team than the Giants, but the Giants should have won that game. And I still can't believe how they scored all those points and the late field goals, and Auburn kicking a 64-yarder to tie the game. They got there in like less than 20 seconds. But Russell Wilson making mistakes like he seemingly has done the last 4 or 5 years of being such a good Super Bowl winning quarterback in the past. That interception in overtime was awful. At worst, that game probably would have been a tie or a Giants win. Instead, the Giants, dropped to 0-2. I'm sure WFAN Sports Radio New York has been going nonstop for the last 20 hours with Giants fans saying, sell the team, we suck, burning jerseys. That's how crazy my New York friends are. But the Cowboys win that game. They had to win that at home. They probably shouldn't have. They're 1-1. Giants 0-2, and I think the Giants are not. They've got talent. I like Wilson, not all the time, but I like Malik Neighbors. I think the Giants have a solid defense. Not yesterday that much. And that you just can't lose that game. The Giants had that game won and blew it. Not as bad as the Broncos-Chargers game or Broncos-Colts game we'll get to a little later on in the show. But one more game I want to get to before we get to my man Sean for 586 Sports is, of course, the biggest game of the day. The Super Bowl rematch, Eagles keep the beat going against Kansas City. How about Travis Kelce getting caught on a hot mic, swearing on TV like a sailor? Not that he doesn't swear, in other aspects of life, but, you don't really hear Travis Kelce swearing on the field much. He was frustrated. He smashed his helmet down. I just wonder what people think, how much trouble is Taylor City. You saw what I did there. How much, trouble is Kansas City in? Because this is a team that obviously, is a Super Bowl favorite. They came oh so close last year. Obviously, the Eagles got the job done. But you look at the Kansas City schedule. Now, they've got the Giants on the road on Sunday Night Football this coming Sunday. The way the Giants are losing games, I don't see New York winning the game, but they could win it at home. Giants have always had good games against better teams at home on prime time. But they play the Ravens at Arrowhead. Then they're at the kind of Jaguars team that I think is going to be a lot better this year than people thought they were. Then they play the Lions on Sunday Night Football at Ford Field. This could be like a 2-4 start for Kansas City. I don't think it will be, but they could be in some trouble. And they miss Rashee Rice. They obviously, the offense has not been good at times. And frustration is boiling over for a team that expects to win the majority of their games, to win 13, 14, 15 games a year, go through the playoffs, be the 1 seed, be the 2 seed at worst. So we'll see how they handle it. Andy Reid's the perfect coach for that because he's been there and done that, and he can find a way to really help his guys get their stuff back together. They're still an incredibly talented team. They've got Kelce, they've got Xavier Worthy, they got Pacheco. They got a lot of things going on in Kansas City. But maybe this is the end of the era, the end of the dynasty, if you will, of these multiple Super Bowls. And Mahomes will always be good. I don't think he's ever going to leave Kansas City, but never say never. I mean, I couldn't believe Brett Favre was a Jet at some point. But this could probably be the end, kind of how the Golden State Warriors kind of fizzled out at the end after winning all those titles. So we'll see. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. Want to show you. Oh, yeah, before we get to that, though, I do want to mention, by the way, Sports Picker 5 saying 0 chance Chiefs make the Super Bowl. You can't say 0, but if they go 2-4, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. And Ricky Talk saying Chiefs a wildcard team at best this year. I probably agree with that the way that things are going. Just want to say again, the Survivor contest going on with Bull Rush. You're going to see a little bit about that in a minute. But Satellite's going on right now. It's $20 to get in. The top 10 get a free entry to the next round of the $100,000 Bull Rush Survivor. It's a satellite. If you're a poker player, you know what I mean. It's a satellite contest. It's such an incredible concept. We're going to go over some of the plays that I had later in the show. I had one last week. I had 6 winning bets. This week I had 1, but I made less bets. But I'll explain this in depth a little later on. But quickly here, people know that Survivor contest. You pick one team, you can only use them once. No point spread. This is different. This is $100,000 in virtual cash each week, and you can bet it on whatever you want: props, touchdowns, point spreads, totals, parlays, 30-leg parlays. All you got to do is have 2 bet slips. So if you want to make one bet slip for $1,000 and another one for $5,000, you're done. You can do one bet slip for $99,000 and one for $1,000. However you want to do it, you are your own decider. And the top 80% advance to the next round. And then you get to week 20. If you win any weeks, you automatically get in there. You get $200 for that. But first place after week 20 is $50,000. $50K. You also get for so 50,000 for first place, and tons of money for all those prizes down there. But I mean, it's you use the code EDGE when you sign up. You get $5, a $5 bonus back. So you're saving money to get in if you're doing the $20 satellite. The odds of you winning cash are so much better than many other Survivor contests. When you think about picking the one team thing a week, it's very tough. Because, yes, you might do good for the first 10, 11 weeks. They're running out of teams. You have all these other people that are picking the good teams or using different strategies. This gives you the chance to be in control of everything because you can make whatever bets you want, and it's based on betting picks, not based on picking one team. You can do a 7-leg money line parlay for $10,000 of your dollars and win $100,000. Whatever you want to do, I think it's awesome. So please get involved with that. Go to BullRush.com. Don't forget to use that code EDGE for a $5 sign-up bonus. Here's a little more on that. And on the other side, we'll be joined by my man Sean from 586 Sports. Check it out.
You want a shot at $50,000 in cold, hard cash? Well, Bull Rush just dropped a new sports comp, the NFL Survivor. And the total prize pool, a massive $100,000. First place gets 50 grand, straight up. Think you got the picks to survive 20 weeks? Here's how it works. Start each week with a 100K fantasy bankroll. Make picks using real NFL odds. Place in the top 80% and you survive. Below that, you're out. Your bankroll resets each week, so a bad week doesn't kill your season. Make it to week 20, and you and all the other survivors split the entire $100,000. You want the bag? Prove it. Join NFL Survivor only on Bull Rush.
There it is, and there he is, Sean Stewart from 586 Sports. Welcome into the Monday Night Edge, Sean. It's great to have you.
I'm great to have you. It's been a while. Last time we talked was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, so Trent was telling me, where did I run into you? Because I don't forget great people like you, but as I was telling Davin as a joke, I'm very popular, so I forget sometimes. Where were you? Where was this?
I had an interview. So the first time I saw you, it was on a Wilbur Dream Cruise. The first time I saw you, this was like 7-8 years ago. And then I actually did an interview back when it was like Sports for America, and now it's 586 Sports. Because that was Juan Howard's first season as head coach of the Michigan basketball team. That was the first time I had you on my podcast.
Yep, I remember. Well, listen, it's great to reunite. We got to do this some more often. By the way, Sonny's we already said what's up, Sean. Sean, let me give you a chance here because I want to, it's a great story. Talk about how 586 Sports started and what made you want to have this great mix of sports picks with an authentic 586 vibe.
All right, so what happened was, I want to say around 20. Let's go back to 2023. So back when this was like way before Prize Pick was before banned. So like I was doing player prop, and then when that happened, that took an effect on my website and stuff as well. So I was like, okay, I like to do a show, but like it's not fun when you don't do it without a sports pick. And then the next year, 2024, I started doing survival pool picks, and then 2025. That's when I founded Bull Rush. And I was like, wait a sec. So I can actually not only do real life sports odds, but actually can do actual, sport picks and stuff like that. So with the 586 Sports, I wanted to have like Sean Stewart's website, but I was like, no, that's too long. Because like when you do a website, you don't want to make it too long. You just want to make it simple. So that's how I made it. Like, you know what? Let me use 586 Sports along with the Michigan logo. So I actually created a logo and name for myself. So it's been a year since 586 Sports been established.
I love it. And like you said, in the Bull Rush thing, that's why I'm so happy. Obviously, to have you on, but I'll be working with them because it is such an incredible concept. Like you mentioned, we all have done survivor pools. I'm in a huge one that has like 500 grand in it. And it's, they're tough to win. You got one team, you got to pick them once ever. And this is giving you a chance to stretch your legs and show your gambling chops or your picking chops. And it's great what Bull Rush is doing. So awesome stuff, Sean. I'm very happy for you. And it really is great to see you again. Not that I forgot who you were. Like I said, as my dad says in my own mind, very popular guy. It's my dad's birthday. So we'll give him a shout out. But Sean, let's get into some NFL here. What would you say a crazy week 2, but what would you say is your hottest take after week 2 that maybe bettors need to hear?
Happy birthday to him.
Well, thank you very much. I think we would have a little delay with Sean here.
My crazy week was, I want to say, I can hear you. It's the internet.
But the internet's undefeated and screwing us over, so no problems there. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like, the internet. Okay, so can you repeat the question again? Because the internet was all jiggled.
Yeah, no problem. I was just saying, what do you think is your hottest take after week 2 that you think people need to hear before kickoff tonight?
My biggest take on week 2 was that the Indianapolis Colts is 2-0. And I found out this is the first time they've been 2-0 since 2009. That was when Peyton Manning was the head coach and Jim Caldwell was the head coach. That was the year they went to the Super Bowl and they lost to the New Orleans Saints. And what was so memorable about that game, because I remember I was watching that and the Chiefs and Philadelphia game. Now, before that flag was even called, I thought like, oh man, he missed that kick. And then I found out what was that flag was for. I was like, oh, man, Denver screwed that up. So it's very. I'm looking at this Colts team. It's like this Colts team may be looking like a safer bet in the next week in week 3, as we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, Sean. I gave that out to my people in my squad, DTM Squatchmix.club site. I mean, first off, I'm not saying I'm low on the Broncos, but I think that they're definitely a team that was overvalued. And Bo Nix was awful in week 1. I loved the Colts yesterday, and I think the Colts, Danny Dimes, they're finding a way. They've got some talent on offense. So, like you said, this might be a much better team than a lot of us thought. 2-0. Very interesting. So, speaking of underdogs, I know that you and your followers love the underdog energy, Sean. What would if you had a chance to look at week 3? Do you have a favorite dog so far? Because I'll tell you, this last week 2, probably one of the few times in the last 3 or 4 NFL years that I've really barely liked any games as far as point spreads, totals, stuff like that. Week 3, it seems like there's a lot of underdogs that might be worth taking.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I actually do like the Indianapolis Colts over the Tennessee Titans because now the Colts are like a +3.5. You might as well take that number as of right now, because usually I wait until Thursday, but as of right now, I would take that number, especially the way Daniel Jones is playing, because he almost has like a 90% QBR rating, which is like so impressive, because this is like the best Daniel Jones I have seen so far in his entire NFL career. You gotta agree with me with that one.
Oh, yeah. Danny Dimes he's slinging the dimes. Like, listen, this is a guy that, like, at times can look really good. That would look like he was like a college quarterback again. And now is looking like I'm not going to say a top level pro, Sean, but he is I'm not going to say he's the only reason, but he is a massive reason the Colts are 2-0. He has looked great in big moments, in big situations. And he did that sometimes with the Giants too. I've been impressed with him a lot.
And the other thing as well, if you notice, the Colts actually solved their QB problem because after Andrew Luck, they haven't had like a consistent quarterback until Daniel Jones came along, and then we thought Anthony Richardson was the franchise QB, but apparently he's not that guy, unfortunately.
Well, one more dog I got to ask you about in week 3, and I'm very unlikely to take it because I'd love to say that they're going to win this game. I just don't think it's nothing wrong with losing on the road on Monday Night Football to the Ravens with the Super Bowl favorite. Can the Lions listen? Week 1 they looked awful against Green Bay. Yesterday, obviously, they put a 52 spot on their former offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. I don't know why the Lions fans are booing Ben Johnson. He has every right to become a head coach. Give the guy embarrassed him, and now they're going to Baltimore. They're 5.5-point dogs. I mean, I'm not going to take the money line, but maybe bite up the 7.5 for the key number. Can the Lions at least keep it close? Because they have not had a lot of success at Baltimore, Sean.
I really don't like this number. I'm going to stay away from this game because that game can either go one way. You know what I mean? Because both teams are 1-1. So that's making it more like, I don't want to do that. So I'm like, I might as well sit back and relax. And plus, it's a very tough division in the NFC North, so it won't get tougher until the weeks go by in the NFC North.
No, that's a great point. All right, got a few minutes left with my man, Sean Stewart. It's so great to see him. Follow him at 586 Sports on social media. Sean, we got a double dip tonight. I know they're doing this a lot more. They used to just do it once a year. Now they seem to do like 3 or 4 times a year. 2 Monday night games. You got Bucks and Texans, Chargers and Raiders. Chargers, one of my Super Bowl long shot, 20-1, not anymore, but they were 20-1 preseason. What do you think tonight? Is there anything that really stands out to you? Do you like some teams, spreads, or totals, props, anything sneaky? I'll tell you this. I love the Chargers. That's one that I made a huge bet on the Chargers money line like about 4 days ago. But other than that, I want to hear what you have to say because this is going to be a lot of fun with these 2 games tonight.
As a matter of fact, when you talk about the Chargers and Raiders, I do like Ashton Gentry because he did have 86% of the snaps in week 1. So he should have over 2.5 receptions against the Chargers. He should get that. It should be no problem. I like that. I like that over on that one. Then I also like Brock Bowers, like the under, the 5.5 catches. I like that under as well. And like you said, I do like the Chargers in that game as well. And now for the Buccaneers game,
it's a tough one.
I picked the Texans in that one. I do like the Texans in that one. And I'm hoping that Baker Mayfield get over 20.5 receptions because I have a great feeling that it may be catch up for him because I know he's like 1-7 in Monday Night Football games.
Yeah. He's not good, but tonight I think he's going to have success. At least I think I'm with you. I'm on the Texans. I think that line is sneaky. It's 2.5. It's under that key number for a reason. But I think that CJ Stroud's being undervalued. The Texans have Nico Collins. They've got Dalton Schultz. They got a lot of weapons there. I think they're going to win. It's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be back and forth, kind of a shootout. But I think Mayfield can get to those completions. And I think a lot of people I know I like think that he's a good touchdown passer. So the over 2.5 touchdowns plus the money might be a solid play. I'm staying away from that, but I will say in that game, I like a Nico Collins anytime touchdown. I think he's going to have a big night, but Mayfield's got a lot of weapons himself. So I think that over at least 1.5 touchdowns is a solid play there. But I'll tell you this, you look at both these games, I think we have a chance because a lot of times when they do these 2 Monday night games, one game can really kind of stink. The other game might be exciting, or sometimes they both stink.
It does always happen like that.
Yeah, I think
Monday football.
Yep, I think both these games tonight, Sean, are going to be really good. I mean, the Raiders are not as bad as people think they are.
Exactly.
But they're not going to. I don't think they're going to win. But they can make this a game, obviously, out in LA. And the Texans, obviously, at home, they've played well at home the last several years. CJ Stroud's had some miracle late, game wins. I think we're going to have a lot of fun tonight with these two games.
Oh, yes, we will. And plus, with Pete Carroll as the head coach of the Raiders, that makes it more like the team got a new energy, a new voice in that locker room. Because the Raiders hasn't had any really good head coaches in the past years other than John Gruden.
They got new great energy like you have all the time at 586 Sports. All right, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you this, Sean. And once again, thanks so much for joining me. Please follow everybody at 586 Sports on social media. So what I like to do on this show, and I know that you and I have talked about this in the past, and that one interview we did, I know we talked about this a little bit. It's all about educating people because obviously we know what's going on. We've been doing this for a long time, but there's a lot of people. I have some new friends of mine that I've met recently out in public that have been very curious about, since gambling's become legal the last several years here in Michigan and other states, what should I do parlay? Should I do prop bet? Should I do this? Yeah. When it comes to you for the, now the everyday sports better tuning in, what would you say is your number one rule when it comes to building a smart, sustainable picking strategy? Because Sean, as you know, as I know, and once again, the meaning of this show, one of the main meanings of this show is to educate people on ways they can be profitable, be successful, not get overwhelmed, and do the right kind of stuff. What would you say is your number one or two rule, if you will, when it comes to doing that and building that sustainable bankroll and picking strategy?
All right, the number one rule is you always want to look at the spread because there were times because I usually wait until Thursday until the line stops because usually the line stops on Thursdays. So when you build your parlays, you don't want to be greedy. So what I do is do parlays that I know that I'm going to do, that I know I'm going to hit, and do the parlays. Like if there's a parlay that I think I don't think it's going to happen, I stay away from that. So you don't want to be like this. Oh, I'm going to be this one of these people that's I'm going to impress people like that. No. Don't be greedy. Just do the ones that you already know. And then as soon as you get comfortable, you'll be like, okay. But you still got to do your research. And you also got to pay attention to the weather, against the spreads, and all that other stuff. Because that will give you a whole great education. Because it's been 4 years since Michigan legalized sports gambling.
Yep. That is great advice. And like you said, it's been those 4 years. And a lot of, people have had some great times, including my father with his $5 bets. Some people have obviously had an issue because they weren't ready for it and they kind of went overboard. We want to get people to have fun, be able to make some money, and enjoy the winnings and the great celebrations that people like you and I can have after a big win. Sean, I got to tell you, it was great to have you on. We'll do this again soon. Keep up the great work at 586 Sports. Everybody, please follow Sean at 586 Sports on social media. And I can't wait to see you again in person. It was great seeing you again, even though it was on a stream. But I feel like you're right here in spirit.
Yes, thank you very much, Danny. It was a great pleasure talking to you as well.
Hey, great stuff. Sean Stewart, really appreciate it from 586 Sports. Please give him a follow. And Devin, you were right. And so was Trent. I knew that I knew who Sean was. I was just trying to remember where I had met him. And the Dream Cruise, for those of you watching around the country and around Del Mundo, that means the world in Spanish. I don't know why I'm trying to pretend I'm good at Spanish. I lived in Costa Rica for about a year, so my Espanol was excelente, but then it kind of went away. But for those of you that are not familiar with Detroit, the Woodward Dream Cruise. Woodward was one of the great early roads that was built during the industrial age, the automotive. Is that a word? The automotive age. Obviously Model T with Henry Ford and all that stuff. That because Detroit, the roads were, meant to be free for everyone to use. Because think about this: if you're a historian like I try to be, back when there was horses and buggies, there would be tolls on roads even back then. And when they started building cars, some other places, I think Ohio and other states near in the Midwest, they would have tolls. There's still toll roads today. Detroit's idea was to build the roads for free for everyone to use. And Woodward was one of those great main historic streets. My dad, I mentioned it's obviously his birthday. And by the way, Drink 4X was saying, "Yo, Dan, what's up? What's up?" He asked me if it was my birthday. No, it's my dad's birthday. You can throw a picture of my dad up, Davin, when you get a chance. We'll show the doc Squatch. There he is. It's the guy on the right. I mean, I hope that I'm not looking as old as my dad. A lot of people say we look just alike, but that's the doc. He's the best. Longtime Michigan fan, Michigan graduate, class of 69, and an incredible OBGYN that delivered over 5,000 babies. So respect to my dad. But Woodward, back in the day when my dad was younger and my mom's age, they would cruise up and down Woodward for hours and hours. Like that was like kind of the Saturday night thing to do, or the Friday night thing to do back in the Greaser days, the movie Grease days where you had the cigarettes in your in your shirt sleeve. And the Woodward Dream Cruise was found, and I'm forgetting the actual year. It's been decades. And you should see the amount of muscle cars and classic cars and, Mustangs and old Corvettes and even the Model Ts. Like people will soup up their cars. And it's like this, full weekend festival. It starts Friday, kind of really early, and then goes through Saturday night, and people still do it on Sunday. And they televise a lot of it. And there's, hundreds of thousands of people that go out to watch. And there's food and there's dancing, and it's a really, really cool thing. So I remember meeting Sean then, and we did some interviews, and he's right. That was when John Howard became the Michigan coach, and I thought it was going to be great. Not so much. They had some success for a couple of years, but pretty bad. All right, if you would, David, let's throw in a quick word again on the Bull Rush Survivor contest. Then we'll get into some more recaps from last week, my Squatch same game parlays for tonight's Monday Night Football games, and my look ahead to the lines for this coming Sunday. Take a look at this. You want to get involved with the Survivor contest.
This isn't fantasy football. It's real competition. Welcome to the NFL Survivor Tournament. You versus the field. $100 to enter. $100,000 in total prizes. $50K to the winner. Start each week with a $100K bankroll. Pick games, win returns. Top 80% survive. Bottom 20%, you're out. Bankroll resets weekly. No carryover. 20 weeks, $100K. Will you take home the cash? Sign up, lock in, and let's see if you've got the guts to survive.
Do you have the guts? I think everyone out there does, but it is, listen, having a chance to get in, the original price to get in was $100. Now you can play a satellite for $20, and the top 10 get a free entry to the next round. We're obviously going to week 3. As I mentioned, if you win any of the weeks 1 through 11, you immediately advance, or 1 through 10, excuse me, immediately advance to week 20, when that's where all the $50K for first place and a bunch of other money's on the line. But then starting week 11, the winner of each week is going to there's $500 in cash for the top 3 places, so you can win more money then starting week 11. But the cool thing to me, and Sean kind of brought it up as well, when it comes to why he likes Bull Rush and why I've loved partnering with them, my man Davin Shire and the great King Neil and Sire Trent, Emperor Trent Heir. I will tell you this. There's a few times here and there, let's say in the last 10, 15 years, where something has been put out there that is incredibly unique. I mean, obviously, back in the day, you couldn't bet player props. I remember living in Costa Rica, working for one of my old bosses that had an offshore sports book. I think the statute of limitations is gone, so I'm not going to get in trouble. But he was one of the first, if not the first, to really not just bet player props, but release them. I remember when I worked for him, and I lived in Costa Rica, this was years ago, we were releasing odds on the show Survivor. Speaking of Survivor, the show Survivor, Heisman Trophy odds, political stuff, who's going to get, Donald Trump's going to fire on The Apprentice, all that kind of stuff. And we were one of the first to do that and get picked up in the newspaper. I would do interviews around the country on various radio and TV stations. So there's times where things get put out there that are just forward thinking and totally new and unique. Same game parlays are one of those. If you want to look at, how gambling has changed, especially since they made it legal here in the last, 4 years for Michigan, for everybody, but some states have done it more recently. I think Ohio was a year or so ago, and some other states have been more recent. But you don't see that, those kind of things a lot. And things are being changed and added. I mean, every day. 5 years ago, same game parlays were nothing like they are now. What Bull Rush has done, in my opinion, and it's not just because I'm partnered with them. I mean, I would be involved with them anyway. They saw the power of the Squatch. They wanted me to host a show, and I could be happier to do it. And working with my guy Davin as well, my fine producer. But to do a Survivor contest where it's not about picking one team and surviving that way, it's about betting whatever you want, as little as 2 bet slips, as many as 1,000. You bet, whatever you want, $1 on 1,000 different parlays. Doesn't matter. To be able to do that and show your, picking, like handicapping chops when it comes to point spreads and player props and totals and parlays and, all that kind of stuff. And they're adding stuff on the website and the app every day to be able to bet more things, much like the sportsbooks have in recent years. That's why I love it. So very excited. Get involved. Use that code EDGE for a $5 sign-up bonus. It's pretty freaking awesome. All right, a few other games I want to go over. Then I want to bring in my man Davin. Then we'll get to my picks. The Bills. Are they the best team in the NFL right now? No surprise. They dominate. Justin Fields got hurt, so I feel bad for him. But they dominate the Jets. The Jets are awful. I feel bad. I mean, Robert Saleh, I know Robert Saleh personally. He's from Dearborn here in Detroit, the Detroit area. It's the biggest Arabic area outside of the Middle East. Such a tight-knit community. He was the first Arab American coordinator. He was the first Arab American head coach. It didn't work out, obviously, for him in New York, but I mean, he's obviously back to being a defensive coordinator. I think he's going to get another head coaching job down the road, but the Jets right now are god-awful and are not going to be a playoff team. So they dropped to 0-2. Bills put a 30 spot on them out. James Cook, 21 carries, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a great anytime touchdown guy, even though his odds aren't going to be that good, maybe for 2 touchdowns going forward. Josh Allen, not a crazy game, but he didn't have to have one. And the Bills defense big in all the biggest moments there. So the Bills, as I've told you before the season on the show, they're my Super Bowl pick. I like the Chargers as a futures odd play, but my Super Bowl matchup, that I only have one, is Washington and the Bills. And I gave that out earlier on in the preseason. It's 40-1. It's still 40-1. I would still bet it if you haven't put a few pennies on it. Washington obviously didn't look great against Green Bay, but I think Washington's going to be really, really good. I think the Bills have a great chance to finally get back to the Super Bowl and finally win one after losing 4 straight in the 90s. You mentioned, and I've always said this because I'm a Lions fan, long-suffering Lions fan. I would rather be the Bills and have gone to 4 Super Bowls and lost them all than not have gone at all. I know some people will say the opposite. They'll say, I'd rather not go and lose than, obviously have a chance to go and win it. I'd rather not go and lose than and go at all. I disagree. I would absolutely go every time, lose every time, as opposed to not going to the Super Bowl. But right now, to me, the Bills are the best team in the NFL. Obviously, the Ravens are right there, too. Also, how good are the 2-0 Rams? Big win on the road over, Tennessee. Obviously, Tennessee is a team in rebuilding mode, but they've got the number 1 pick in Cam Ward. I actually was on the Titans yesterday. It was one of my few losses on the day, but you got to love what Matt Stafford at 38 years old is doing. He was 23 of 33 for 298 yards, had 2 touchdowns. How about Devontae Adams? New Jersey, same stats, 6 receptions, buck 06 and a touchdown, 33-19. They moved to 2-0. Just how good are they? I think we're going to find out in the next 4 or 5 weeks. You look at the Rams' schedule. They've got a big game at the Eagles this coming Sunday. Could be a live dog. We'll see if they're one of my plays, my 4 early plays of the week. Then they host the Colts. Then they play the Niners in L.A. Then they're at the Ravens. We're going to fight. First off, they're not going to be undefeated. But if they win, let's say, 3 of those games, and they're 5-1, or even 2 of them, and they're 4-2, I think you could say the Rams are a team that are going to be around. I mean, I liked them before the season. There was a lot of Stafford props and LA props division-wise that I liked. But this is a Rams team that people are kind of sleeping on. So that was impressive to watch that and just see them kind of just dominate a Titans team. It's obviously got a lot they've got to, figure out themselves. The Broncos, with that sick to their stomach, churning last-second loss after the penalty on the field goal, giving the Colts another chance. I said months ago that Denver was overrated, not just because they lost yesterday. I gave out the under 8.5 wins as a play on this show weeks ago. Let me see if I can check what the latest. I haven't checked the latest win total odds. They might not have them up right now until after this week. We got it right now. Right now for the Broncos, their win total looks like it is. Yeah, it's still basically over 8.5, under 8.5. I would take the under 8.5 right now at plus 120. I think I had to lay $1.15. I would take that right now. Or no, I'm sorry. I got plus 115, so it's up a little bit. I do not think the Broncos are going to win 9 games. I think Bo Nix looks awful. I think Sean Payton, now that the game has passed by, he's still a great coach. I just don't think, and especially with their tough schedule, they are going to be as good as people thought they were. So I'm still very big on that. But how about the Colts getting that job done? And in a game that, if you're not a good team, you're going to probably lose that game a lot. Broncos gave it to them in many ways. But the Colts, every time the Broncos took the lead or were, making a move, the Colts answered. It was impressive to watch. As me and Sean both talked about, big on the Colts. We're going to find out, obviously, a lot about the Colts as well when it comes to the next few weeks, because this is a team with Danny Dimes slinging and slinging. They've got some tough games coming up. They've got a game at the Titans, interesting game of the Titans on the road, at the Rams, home against the Raiders, in a game that you would think Indy should win, but the Raiders are going to be tougher with Pete Carroll than some think. Then they have the Cardinals at home. That's going to be somewhat tough. And then at the Chargers. They got a big stretch. They got the Titans, by the way, again on October 26th. But I really like the Colts. They have been impressive to me so far. I've seen some more catches from Josh Downs. And then Sunday Night Football. We got Monday Night Football tonight. Did we undervalue Penix Jr. in Atlanta? Big road win. Made Minnesota at times look silly last night on Sunday Night Football. I love what I'm seeing from Penix Jr. The Falcons defense held J.J. McCarthy to 11-21 for $158, 2 interceptions. You look at Penix, he didn't have a great night either, only 135 yards, but did not make big mistakes. Bijan Robinson, incredible, 22 carries, $143. He had a 25-yard run. I gave out one of my plays I gave out this week to my DTF Squatch Club, squatchpicks.club friends, was the longest Bijan Robinson run. I think it was 14 and a half, something like that. He's just ripping them off. Not a great day for the Atlanta receivers. Not a great day for the Vikes receivers, aside from Justin Jefferson. He only had 3 catches, but did have 81 yards. That was just a weird, lower scoring game. I thought it was going to be a shootout. But Atlanta's a 1-1 team. They've got some winnable games coming up, and including some really tough ones too. But at the Panthers, that should be a win. Panthers are not a good team. They have a home game against the Commanders, in a division game there, home against the Bills, at Niners versus the Dolphins. So they got a couple games there they should win. And then if they could pick off Commanders, Bills, or Niners, one of those 3, they'll be in a decent position headed towards the back half of the schedule. And by the way, how about the kickoffs? Kickoffs are getting crazy pants, including if you saw the Seattle-Pittsburgh game where Pittsburgh gifted them a touchdown on the kickoff because they didn't understand the rules. I hear a lot of people talking about them, saying they're dumb. The president weighed in, saying they should change it back, but you're getting way more runbacks this year. Last year it was like, 20%? This year it's like almost 50% or more. It still looks super weird to me. They're not going to go back to the old kickoff. Maybe they could tweak it to make it a little more exciting. But how do you not know the rule? So that it's a live ball, you got to go for it. And that was another big reason why Seattle took down Pittsburgh yesterday. I'm not really high on the Steelers this year. I think they're going to be okay. I mean, obviously they got A-Raj. It's not like they're 0-2, but the Seahawks kind of made them look silly in the end. Darnold continues to play well, 22 of 33 for 295 and 2 touches. Kenneth Walker III, the former Spartan, 13 carries for $105 and a touchdown. Smith and Jigwa, great receiver, 8 receptions, 103 yards. Those are guys you want to look at for overs when you're doing player props week in, week out. Some I'll give out on this show as well. All right, before we get into my plays for tonight, my look ahead, let me, if I can, bring in the king of all media, my great producer, Davonshire. I hope he doesn't look like a ghost. We were looking at his camera angle earlier, and he looked like he was the outline of a ghost. So there he is. Turn your mic on, sir. Turn it on. I want to take people inside baseball here. Davin, you look great. You don't look like a ghost.
A little bit of a ghost, but it's okay.
I wanted to bring you on for a couple reasons. The main one was this, and I think that there's people that watch these shows or stream themselves or know what streamers have to do that understand that a show can only be as good as its producer. I mean, obviously the host is important, but it's only as good as someone like you. So I wanted to, on camera, thank you because you have made this show so much better than it would be with just me doing this show. I'm very grateful for you. I'm very grateful to work with you. The team at Bull Rush is incredible. You're amazing with graphics. You're amazing with preparation. And I want to make sure people understand that because you're behind the scenes, but I want you to be in front of the scenes right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, a podcast and a live stream, especially one like this with multiple people and everything, it's like a human body. You're like the brain and I'm like the lungs, or you're the heart and I'm the lungs.
You're
We
also the
can't function.
spleen. You're
And
also
the spleen.
You
Yes,
can't live
yes.
without the spleen.
Yes, and it's, you can't live without each other, and one, we both kind of lean on each other, and I'm hoping to make some money off of some of these picks. I wish I tailed that 7K one. I wish
I'm
I
not going to
tailed
do
that
that
one.
every week, but I'm going to do it. I won 9 of 10 golf outrights. Going back to the last couple of months, that. So I want to help you win. I want to help everyone else win. But I wanted to just thank you on camera. You're doing an incredible job. This show would not be nearly as good as it is without you. Before I let you go, though, I wanted to give you a chance to let everyone know what the biggest thing to you has been. If you think about this NFL season, 2 weeks old, about to be 2 weeks old, what has stood out the most to you so far?
I think honestly, one thing that and I was just talking to a friend of mine about this, one thing that I've noticed is the rookies. I don't know if it's maybe social media or just there's so much more, I feel like, attention this year on the rookies, and everybody's constantly talking about the rookies. And I'm not even talking about one in particular. It's just kind of all of them in general. It's like the year of the rookie, it's like everybody's just talking about all the rookies this year.
What I think? I can give you 3 letters that I think are a big reason for that. And they start with an N, the middle letter is an I, and the last letter is an L.
Yep.
These kids in college are basically pros now. And they're making sometimes more money than they will make in the pros. So I think that the advance of college football being literally everywhere, and the ability for these guys to make money on commercials now, be in movies, ad campaigns. I think that it's great for the NFL. It's like a built-in thing where not everyone's going to make it the way that certain guys are going to make it, but guys like Travis Hunter or Cam Ward, they have name recognition already. A lot of times in the past, maybe you're overall number 1 and a big running back or the Heisman winner. People would know who they are, but now you're knowing guys in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round because they were doing NIL deals at big schools.
Yeah, no, and they brought back NCAA college football, the game. So I know everybody my age. I remember when I was younger, I would play that with my brothers and friends like crazy. And I think the last year they did it was like 2010 or something like that. And then now they just brought it back. And I know everybody that plays video games or Madden my age is now switching from Madden, or they did for a little bit. I know people are back on Madden now, but everybody switched for a time period from Madden to college football. So now everybody's playing with these players. So not only you're seeing them on the news and on social media, but you're actually playing with them. So it just kind of ingrains in your head like a character now.
I love it. Also, I wanted to, I'm questioning myself now. You got married, right? She's not your fiance, married.
I did.
Give a shout out to the lovely wife. I met her on the phone once. She's a true delight, and I know David is very lucky to have her.
Yes, shout out.
We got a picture. We got a picture. There we go.
Oh, it's blurred. Shout out.
No, it's good now. It's good now.
Shout out to my wife.
I believe her name is Francesca.
Lexi.
All right, I was close.
Close.
I knew it was Lexi.
Close.
Shout out, Lexi. Davin, big shout out to you, and thanks to you and the entire team at Bull Rush. I love doing this show. It's only going to keep getting bigger and better, and to have someone like you as the anchor means a lot to me.
Hey, and I just want to say thank you for doing this show. We couldn't have asked for a better person to do this show. Follow Dan on Twitter. Follow his picks, because these are the best picks. If you want to make some money on football and make some money in Bull Rush, follow.
I give a lot of those picks up for free, Davin. I'm not a greedy guy.
I've seen how many picks you've given out on this show for free just already, and I know you haven't even gotten to your SGP, your same game parlays. So, this is a gold mine, and anybody not watching it is doing themselves a disfavor.
By the way, disservice. I don't know if there's such a thing as disfavor.
Oh yeah, disfavor. Sorry,
but disfavor sounds like something I would say. By the way, my beard is looking better than I thought it did earlier. I kind of was like I told you, wasn't feeling well over the weekend. But boy, I mean, if there's any single girls out there, they're probably into it.
I think it's solid. It looks solid.
David, thank you as always. You're the best.
Back to the behind the scenes.
Well, you're in front of the scenes and behind the scenes. All right, before we get out of here, a couple things I want to get to you guys with, including my same game, Squatch same game Monday Night Football parlay. Take a look at the 2 games tonight. And listen, something that I do on my DTM SquatchPicks.club site when I give out picks, I tell people the most important thing is not to bet, just to bet. I happen to like both games tonight, like as far as like who I like point spread or money line wise. there's certain times where just because it's a Monday Night Football game, you don't have to bet it just to bet it, because that's not a profitable situation. So I think it's something that I'm going to continue as we do this show more and more. I want to educate people. I'm never going to talk down to you because I don't know everything, but I've been to my parents' chagrin, I've been betting on sports since I was like 10. So I mean, back when there was no internet and I was looking at point spreads in the newspaper, I would test myself at 11 years old with the Detroit Free Press. They'd have the lines, for the upcoming college and pro games, and I would cover the spread and guess what I thought it would be. And I was always, for the most part, on it within a half point, within a point. So I do this for a while, but I can always learn more, and I want to educate people. I have I mentioned I had a nice girlfriend of mine, this girl that I met recently. She wants to get involved in gambling. She wants to be better than her son. And once again, you always want to, be responsible when we're doing gambling stuff. I want to make sure we always say that. But it can be a lot of fun. It can be something where you can make some money on the side, but also have a lot of great entertainment value and not have to spend a lot of money to do so. So, you don't have to go to Paris to, have a great, same game parlay that wins you $500 or something on a $20 bet. So it is a lot of fun. You can bet on your teams too. I would stay away from betting on only your teams, but I know a lot. My dad likes doing that, and I have friends that like doing that. But we want to help you win, money here. So as I mentioned, I like both games tonight. I like one more than the other. The Texans. Now listen, this is a trap line because there is some sharp money. If you don't know what that means, sharp money is the pros, like the guys that are handicapped. People like me, at least that I think that I am. My dad says in my own mind, but the people that do bet for a living, they're the ones that are moving the lines. It's not the public moves it, but it's really the sharps that do it for the majority of where lines will move. Like you might have 80% of public money on a bet on a line, and you might have like 20% of the sharps money on it. The sharps can still move that line, even though it should move the other way. But sportsbooks are always trying to keep the lines bet on both sides so they profit on the juice, the 10 cents, 15 cents, whatever you pay to make the bet. That's why Vegas looks like it does. Those comp meals, it's all to get your money. That's your casino reset tonight, casino the movie. But that line is under the key number. If you don't know key numbers in college and pro football, 3, 7, 10, 14, it's obviously multiples, or not multiples, but the way you add scores up. So this is under the key number. I do like the Texans. It could be a close game, but for this purpose, I don't want you to take the money line because it's minus 154. I like the Texans to win this game by 3 or more. So I like Texans minus 2.5. And then the late game, that's another, in a way, that trap spread, but there's a reason it's 3.5 because that's beyond the key number. So I want you in the Chargers game either to go straight money line, which you got to lay almost 2-1. So, I mean, that's not necessarily, if you're doing a parlay, it's one thing, but buy it down to 2.5 if you're going to take the Chargers on the spread. I did a money line parlay with the Chargers Raiders over 46, Texans money line, Chargers money line. They paid like, I want to say, it was plus 390, I believe, almost 4-1, something like that. So that's what I like as far as those games are concerned. And before we get to my Squatch same game Monday Night Football parlay, here's if you're in a regular Survivor pool, obviously not as cool as Bull Rush's Survivor pool. Your Survivor pick for week 3, by the way, I'm 8-0 with my 4 picks in my league. Not to brag, it's been very easy. There's been the least people out in a Survivor pool nationwide, like when they've done the analytics in the last 10 years. It's the least people out. There's been I wanted the Cowboys to lose yesterday because 20% of my 500 plus person pool had the Cowboys, but that didn't happen. But don't overthink it. Buffalo, it doesn't matter about using them early, or Kansas City. Hate teams on the road though, as far as that Kansas City game goes, coming up next week. But I do not see Kansas City, losing on the road to the New York Giants. But the Giants have played well in situations like that before. A primetime game on Sunday Night Football. But Buffalo. To me, if you're in a Survivor pool where you got to pick one team a week, do the best you can to always pick home teams. The only times I've lost in heartbreakers in recent years is when I had a home team I could have taken, but I didn't like it as much, and I took the road team, and the road team lost. Road team was a big favorite. Let's think a few years ago, Kansas City over Carolina. And the road team lost, and the team I was going to take it home, I had 1 or 2 teams at home. One of them was a 2.5 point favorite. One was a 3.5 point favorite. It was a risky game. Both those home teams won. The road team lost. So try to take home teams as much as you can. The 4 games I'm looking at right now, I'm always going to give you at least 4 that I like so far. Pats plus 1.5 at home against the Steelers. I think the Patriots are much better than people think they are, and are really well coached right now. The Eagles minus 3.5 at home over the Rams. I'm looking at that game right now, and the Rams could be a live dog, but in this situation, the Eagles, I think, are going to pound them. Matt Stafford, not great on the road. outdoors, the same way it happened when he was with the Detroit Lions. I don't mind laying the 3.5. If you want to be super safe, you could buy it down to 2.5. Normally, I would tell you to do that. That game, I would pay the juice, take the Eagles minus 3.5. The Vikings, I think, are going to bounce back against a Bengals team that's got a new starter quarterback. First game, like when he took over, is one thing, but it's going to be kind of, I think, a rough first game out of that. Browning will be better in the next couple of weeks. I like the Vikings minus 3.5 as well, but I would buy that down to 2.5. And then this, I absolutely love. I would take it this second. I don't care what happens tonight. Take the Chargers minus 2.5 at home over the Broncos. I told you I'm down on the Broncos. They're not going to be as good as people think. The Chargers are, even if the Chargers lose tonight, actually it might even be better because then they'll be angry. My dad always said as a kid, by the way, happy birthday again, Dad. You know, if the Lions were playing like Green Bay the next week, he'd want Green Bay to win because if they lost the week before they played the Lions, they'd be angry. Take the Chargers right now. That spread might move to 3.5. I love the Chargers minus 2.5 at home over the Broncos. All right, if you can, King Devonshire, please throw up. We'll throw up my first same game parlay. This is in the Chargers Raiders game. Actually, you know what? We blew it because the first game. We'll just do this one for tonight because the other game already started. I apologize, but you know, well, I'll throw it up there. People can bet it live. Devin, really quick, throw up the other one because that game's starting right now. Hutchinson over 19.5 receiving yards. Buku over 40 receiving yards. Sterling Shepard over 22.5. Bucky Irving 2 receptions. Nico Collins 50 yards or more receiving. And C.J. Stroud 1 passing touchdown. And it was David, I'm missing it right now because the live thing is covering it. What were the odds again? Sorry, I got it. Yeah, because I'm blocked. I'm blocked by the live thing on my screen. Here, I got it. I didn't think I needed it up. And of course, the live. There you go. Yeah, 10-1 on that one. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again. Now, you can bet this live, maybe better at halftime and see where everything's at. You might get just as good of odds, if not better. This is the one tonight that I even like. To be honest, I like this one even more than I liked the Bucks one. And I like the Bucks one. So my guy Omari Hampton, we gave him out as a rookie of the year pick, 10-1 earlier this, the preseason. 60. This is alternative rushing and receiving yards, 60 or more. I think he gets that easily. Might have 100. Herbert 2 passing touchdowns. While I like Hampton to probably score one, I think the Chargers are going to score a lot of points. I think it's going to be kind of a shootout. I think Herbert will have at least 2 passing touchdowns. Ladd McConkey, this isn't a reach, but like I could have gone 4, which was much higher price to pay. I think he's going to get 5. He had 6 receptions last week. If it's a shootout, he should get that easily. Jenny, 2 receptions out of the backfield. I love that. Jacoby Myers, who's a ball hawk, 50 or more receiving yards. He's one of the Raiders' main receivers. And then Deontay Thornton Jr., another burgeoning, young star for the Raiders, over 27.5 receiving yards. What does that pay, Devin? Because I'm blocked by the live thing again. I think it's close. It's similar. Is it like 8-1? 10-1. Or that? Well, I use profit boost. So it was 8-1, and I boosted it 10-1. All right, so there you go. There's your Squatch same game Monday Night Football parlay. Bet it and enjoy it, and let's cash some tickets. Don't forget, get into that NFL Survivor $20 satellite contest. Use the promo code EDGE for a $5 sign-up bonus. Big thanks to my man Sean from 58 Sports. Please follow him on social media at 586 Sports. Follow him on social media at 586 Sports. Big thanks to my man Devonshire, the greatest producer in the business. Love to my friend Trent, Air, and Neil for Bull Rush. We're just really enjoying doing this show and really excited for the response that we're seeing from this Survivor contest by Bull Rush. So please check all that out at bullrush.com. This show is here every week, Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. There might be a week here and there that it could be a little earlier if something crazy is going on, but most of the time, the 99% of the time, the show will be here live at 6 p.m. So please check us out. Find me on social media at Dan Leach DTM. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Dan Leach the Squatch saying so long. Have a great night. I love you, Dad. Happy birthday. Believe in the dream. We'll see you next week.
You want a shot at $50,000 in cold, hard cash? Well, Bull Rush just dropped a new sports comp, the NFL Survivor. And